Manoj, Michael Pillsbury's suggestion is that instead of waiting till 2049, China could emerge as the world's #1 superpower much before that, in the early 30s, which isn't too many years away from, just about 10 years away from now. He also thinks that China will inevitably win the battle to be the world's #1 superpower. Do you share that assessment? Or are you more skeptical?
Yeah, I think you can color me skeptical on that. Look, the best laid plans often end up facing reality. And I think China is in its early days of trying to emerge as a global power. You can compare different metrics of China's relationship and its comparative strength with regard to the United States. And it's quite strange, me as an Indian, saying that there is a stark disparity even today between the comprehensive national power between China and the United States. If you just look at military power projection, Beijing's ability to project power beyond its near seas is extremely limited. In the Indian Ocean, it's extremely limited. Its ability to negotiate deals between countries is extremely limited. And I say that keeping in mind the fact that we've just seen some sort of an agreement between Iran and Saudi Arabia, where China swooped in at the last minute to try and broker. But is that really a peace deal? No, it's an agreement to talk, as opposed to necessarily trying to start a new era in the Middle East.
Well, it's more than what the United States has been able to do. And
Indeed.
Speaking of military power,
Indeed.
If you read Michael Pillsbury's book, he writes about the assassin's mace. The assassin's mace is essentially the use of asymmetric weaponry to take on the enemy. You're not fighting conventional weapon systems with conventional weapon systems. Michael talks about the assassin's mace. And they've got more than an adequate mace to be a very deadly assassin.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I'm not, by no means am I trying to say that China does not have significant comprehensive national power. But I think if you're still going to compare China with the United States, there's significant daylight between them. Has that gap shrunk over the last 30 years? Obviously it has. And that is a matter of concern. I also sort of disagree with the fact that Beijing is trying to downplay its intentions. In fact, it's quite obvious that it's actually talking quite much more publicly about its intentions. If you listen to what Xi Jinping is saying, he's no longer downplaying what he believes he wants the world order to be like. If you look at what their projections for their own desires in terms of the global governance architecture that they want, his initiative on global development, Belt and Road, Global Security Initiative, and now the Global Civilization Initiative, all of those talk about a world that he wants to create. So I don't think he's downplaying that. I think he's learned lessons from the Made in China 2025 fiasco, which led to the response in the United States and the Trump administration on trade, because that sort of really crystallized the nature of the economic threat that China presented. But I don't think he's downplaying it. I think he's being quite clear about what he wants to do. But I don't think he today has the capability to achieve those goals of dominance. And I think there's some of that we need to measure some of that, and it needs to be a little bit more measured in our understanding of what China maybe desires to do and what it can do. I'd love to have $1 billion in my account. It's not there. So I think we need to keep that gap between intent and capability in mind, and that allows us to then respond in kind to try and shape the kind of behavior that we want from China.